Hi YouTube, it's Saul Sunforge here for Dungeons and Taverns. Today I wanted to make a video that was suggested by another fellow D&D YouTuber who I very much highly suggest to you. I'll actually show you his page right now. His name is KR King, and he runs a channel, D&D Homebrew, and a very wonderful guy. You know, he responds to all of his comments, and he's very insightful, very intelligent, and I highly recommend his channel. And actually, when I make the video on the D&D channels that I watch, you know, and kind of elaborate a little bit more, he's gonna be one of the main ones that I talk about. I don't think he'll mind me putting up his image there. If he does, then I'll take it out. He asked me to make a video on how I make NPCs, and I thought that was great. You know, it was something I was going to do, but right now I have a few moments before my daughter's schooling. I homeschool her, and we go to online classes together and things like that. So I had a few minutes. And since I do these types of YouTube videos in one take with very little editing, if I get off topic or something, I'll edit it. But you know, generally there's no editing. You know, I don't script these or anything like that. I try to talk to you, you know, as I would talk to anybody, you know, in person. And so he wanted me to make a video on how I make NPCs. And so today I thought we could go ahead and make an NPC. And I didn't have an idea or anything on what NPC to make, but we'll make a simple NPC first. Okay. So we'll give you examples here. All right. So we'll name it, you know, simple NPC. All right. We'll name him Sam. Sam. Yeah, Sam. That I don't know. I don't know if I like that name. Samuel. How about yes? No, Samson. Samson. We'll name him Samson. Samson Abernathy. How about that? Samson Abernathy. And he is a beggar. You know, and he is a beggar around the city gates. You know, I don't need to go into what cities and things like, you know, my cities and my campaign and whatnot. You could put them wherever you want. You can even use them if you want to. I give you full permission. All right. So Samson, I don't know if I like the way I spelled it, but that's okay. This is just an example. So Samson Abernathy, he's a beggar around the city gates. His appearance. That's pretty important, right? His appearance. He wears a tattered robe. You could even say a tattered green robe. How about that? Tattered green robe. Hooded green. Oh, GG, well played. You played yourself, fool. All right, tattered green hooded robe. He's 23, human, and he has a crooked nose. Why does he have a crooked? He has a crooked nose because he was drunk in the tavern and started a bar fight and refused to leave.
So he got his nose broke. You know, you could fill in who broke his nose. A soldier, a fellow tavern goer, whatever you want to do. That's for you to flesh out. You know, and if he's going to be, somebody who's going to be a reoccurring NPC that the players may go to for information on, the town, the locations, and, nightlife, and, things like that. All right, so... Yep, so Samson Abernathy, the beggar around the city gates, his appearance, he's wearing a tattered green robe. He's about 23. He's a human. He has a crooked nose. Because he got into a fight in the tavern. And refused to leave. Okay, reason for his job. His beggar's, it's technically a job. Panhandler. Why? Okay, so he gambled. He gambled his savings after he left home to try to gain a quick fortune. It didn't work. He lost whatever amount. He lost 500 gold. Whatever sounds reasonable to you. He lost 500 gold. And so now his only possessions are a copper bowl that he holds up for change, and of course his robe. And I memorize these things. I don't really write them down. I kind of used to. And for major NPCs, I might, I'll write down their name. I'll write down the names of all the NPCs and maybe their job. And if I do voices, I'm not a voice actor or anything like that. But I do like to do voices. It's fun. I always believe that as a DM you have to have fun, or there's no, why are you doing it? So I like to do voices. What kind of voice would we give him? Are we gonna give him a gruff voice, or like a kind of like a shrill voice, or maybe like a raspy. We'll go with raspy. Give him a raspy voice. And then good evening, sir. Alms for the poor. Help a man down on his luck. Something like that. And I know it's not that great of a voice, but this is just all impromptu. This whole thing. So we'll give him a raspy voice. Give him, and that should be enough, right? For a simple NPC, that's plenty. That's plenty to go off of. And you can improvise everything else about him when the party comes up to him. Maybe the party takes pity on him and gives him some coins or something, and then he just thank you, and then they make a friend, and he could say something like so and so tavern is more lively at night. I suggest going there if you're seeking help or adventure, something like that. Or maybe he shine their shoes for money, shine their boots, or maybe he has you could give him a barrel of lard and some sand or something to chafe off the rust from their armor and coat it with fat to preserve it. So whatever you want to do. And so he's done. He's done. And it took me longer because I'm explaining it to you. But that's really if I was typing it out without explaining it to, because I wouldn't have to explain it to myself, obviously. I would take more time trying to practice his voice, than I would coming up with him in his entirety. All right. So then, okay, what about a complex NPC? All right. So we'll go with a complex NPC. Abigail Dithers. Yeah, I don't know. Abigail Ditherson. Abigail Ditherson. You can, just keep saying the name and think, like, just adjust it if it doesn't sound great to you, or like if you're not happy with it, or you're happy with the beginning of it but not the end of it, or things like that. You can change it up. There's no, you haven't committed anything yet, so until the players encounter that you haven't committed anything. You could even change it right during the session before you announce her name if you wanted to. All right, so Abigail Ditherson. She is. Let's see, her appearance. She is. We could say tall for a halfling, and you could go look up how tall halflings are, of course, if you wish to. If you want to go real specific with it, tall for a halfling. That's fine for this example. I do Google a lot of all these informations, like, their average lifespans, like when I make an Aarakocra, and, how long do they live? It's like 10 years, I think, or maybe it's 12 years. But it's all there for you. Okay, so she's tall for a halfling. She has strawberry blonde hair. No. How about this? She has blonde hair, which is rare for a halfling. Blonde hair with strawberry highlights. So like she dyes her bangs or something like that, So we could say red with red highlights. I forgot. I didn't type all halfling. Erase. No. Okay, so she's tall for a halfling. Got blonde hair with red highlights. You could go as far into the detail as you want with it. If you plan for this to be a reoccurring NPC, or an NPC that travels with the party, because sometimes you'll have a party who, for whatever reason, they just really like your NPC, and they really want your NPC to go with them. Alright, so she's tall for a halfling, blonde hair with highlights. She has a facial tattoo of a silver dragon on her left cheek. That right there, that's unique. That's unique, and it just came to me. Whatever, so, so your players are more likely to remember an NPC like this versus just some generic shopkeeper or something like that. They may even recall it later on if you make it funny or some way memorable to them. Okay, and then your players, if you talk about if you mention all this stuff like the red highlights, okay, that's not very rare, but it's not common to have dyed hair. Okay, so if she has dyed hair, most likely she's a little bit more wealthy. You know, so you infer these things with you read into them. You infer them with your descriptions. And then the players might ask, why does she have a silver tattoo? Of the dragon, and that's up to you to improvise that. You could plan that as well if you want, but when you're preparing a campaign, it depends on how much time you have, really. And I don't know about you, but my life is very busy, and that's why I haven't been able to make as many videos as I want. I'm working on it. I promise. Hopefully you can see that in the last week or so. I think I've released 3 or 4 videos, and I'm going to try to keep a good schedule. But I'm digressing again. Okay, so she's tall for a halfling. She has red highlights in her blonde hair. She has a facial tattoo of a silver dragon. It's located on her left cheek. Okay, so what does she do for a job? Like I said, since you can kind of infer that she's a little bit more wealthy, we'll say she's a shop owner. All right, and that's all you really even need to have for that, until the players kind of ask what kind of shop, or they're more interested in her. Then you could think of it on the fly. She's a leather worker. She's a Fletcher. She's an armor smith. You don't want to give her a job that is like, it might be unlikely that she would be able to afford a tattoo, and that she would be able to afford the dye. So you don't want to make her like you want to give the players like some verisimilitude of it, and of the situation. So we'll say she's a tanner. All right. So that's kind of like a sort of a dirtier job. So we could add to her appearance that she has smudges of dirt on her otherwise beautiful clothes, or you could say face, whatever you want, and so it kind of it suggests that she's a worker. She works, so, and the fact that she would have dirt or oil or whatever you want on her means that she works for her money. And she isn't afraid to get down and dirty. She isn't dainty. So since you can infer these things from her appearance, then you can also it automatically fills out her demeanor. So she's not afraid to get dirty. So then she's like no nonsense. She's no nonsense. What is it? I don't have time for this. What is it? What do you want? Make her talk faster if you want. I tend to have a deeper natural voice, and so it's a little bit harder for me to do female character voices without them sounding very forced. But I could kind of do a halfling female voice without it sounding terrible, And halflings in general are rather easy to do. You just got, you lower your voice a bit. What is it? How can I help you? Something like that. But you practice it, of course. Or you don't have to. You don't even have to give them voices if you don't want to. You could just talk in your normal voice. And sometimes I do, because after you do so many voices, your normal voice starts to go, and so I'll tell the players, out of character, do you mind if I just use my normal voice for the rest of the session? My voice is starting to go, and if I keep it up, then I might not have my voice for the following session. They'll be fine with it or whatever. So this way, if you can't do it, it doesn't sound ridiculous or whatever to you. All right, so she's no nonsense. So that might mean she might come off as a bit rude or impatient, but she has a heart of gold and is willing to do favors for those she considers friends. So if you maybe the players, is there anything we can help you with? If she's a leather worker or whatnot, that's what a tanner is, basically, is a leather worker. You can, go get me a bear hide, or, depending on where you're at, your environment would play into your NPC also. What type of environment, you have to consider that kind of, because you can have NPCs that are out of place, and sometimes that makes exceptional storytelling. But you have to have an exceptional story, usually, for it. Sometimes your players will question it. My players tend to question a lot of things, and I have to come up with something, boom, like that. And I usually do. But the more jarring a situation is, the more they may question it. Okay, so she was a tanner, but she has a little bit of you could tell she's a little bit affluent because of the riches the things that she has. So maybe she wears jewelry, decent jewelry, or maybe if you map out her place, her locale, unless they meet her in town. They can meet her in town, and then later on maybe go to her shop or house, or her house is her shop. Different floors, shops on the bottom, houses top, something like that. And you can make a map of the house, and you can have dialogue and stuff, role play. My players love to role play, so I try to do like 3 sessions of combat, and each session will have a little bit of role play or a lot of role play. Or they may be able to roleplay their way out of combat, and then I'll have like 3 sessions of, for sure, roleplay, where combat may be an option based off of their choices, things like that. But so she might have, does she have family? That's kind of important. It might not be terribly important, but you might, okay. She has 2 kids. She has 2 daughters, and does she have a husband? Yes, she has a husband, but he is missing, but he is off fighting a war, or he's been killed. They were going through the forest hunting for the leathers that they were looking for her to craft some armor, and mistaken identity. He was shot, or he was mauled by a bear or a wolf, or whatever you want to do. You could just keep going with it, and that's how you make a complex NPC. It's very simple. at first it might be a little bit hard, but I tend to always be thinking about D&D, even when I'm at work. You know, I might stop what I'm doing and come up with some names or things like that. And that brings me to my next point. How do you do this on the fly? Okay, so you might make we'll say 4. Okay, and then male, and then female. Okay, and then so you make some NPCs that they can meet on the fly. All right, we'll go with Roy here, and then Charles, Jacob, and then Matthew. All right, and then for females, you just let's see, Veronica. Patricia. Or Patty, whatever you want. Patricia's fine. Doesn't matter. And then Sally and Missy. And then so you just come up with some names, okay? And then you're like, you know, when they want to talk, you know, you describe your scene. You don't have anybody planned. You just describe the scene. You walk into the town. The gates are open. You the smell of. You can smell a tanner shop. You know, somebody's working leather. You hear the sounds of an anvil. You know, the smell of food. You can smell pipe tobacco. Some smoke is coming out of some of the chimneys of the houses, and you describe the scene, and people are bustling about. The day is new. People are going to the well to get water to fill buckets so they could wash their dishes, wash their laundry, bathe their children, in order to make tea, whatever you want. You could just keep going. You could just keep going with it forever and ever. It's hard at first, but it gets very easy. And so anyway, these townsfolks, Roy, he's pulling a cart through the town, and it gets stuck in the mud because it just rained the day prior. And so Roy gets his cart stuck in the mud. The players come and they say, good day, sir. Do you need some help? I see that you're stuck. And, the name's Roy. Thanks. Pleased to meet you. Yeah, I could use a hand. The wheel got stuck, you see. And then you have the player roll a strength check to try to pick it up or whatever. And, oh, mighty kind of you, sir. Or, thank you, ma'am. And I don't have much to give you, but, you can come back to my place and you can have a cup of tea with me and my wife, something, whatever. You could just keep going with it. Okay, so, Roy's wife, Missy, my wife, Missy, she's at home waiting for the water, boil some tea, and, we have a little bit of food. We got some bread and cheese if you want, as appreciation, as gratitude, however you want. You could think of think of the character that you're using, the NPC. Think of what their intelligence level would be, based on what they're doing, based on their mannerisms, those would all change based on the level you see them at. You know, and so we can say, you know, Roy's a decently intelligent person. He doesn't have common sense, because he's you know, any stranger at all, you know, we just you know, yeah, we're gonna take your help. You know, never covered yet what was in his cart. You know, and these strangers to your village, you know, you're trusting them right away to help you out, to help you. You know, you don't know if they're good people or not. You know, what's in your cart? You know, food, arrows, supplies, skins, rope. You know, maybe Roy owns the general store. Okay, so you just keep going, and it's that simple. It really is. It really is that simple. And you know, I inadvertently just came up with the town too while I was going over these scenarios. You know, and so then you go ahead and name that town, and then you go ahead and put it on your map somewhere, and then you go ahead and talk about the shops that I just named and place them, and then how big would this town be, and you just keep going from there, and it's that easy. It really is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and you know, it's a good reason why I'm a forever DM, one of many. But there you go. And so that is a more complex. The simple. We covered the just some random NPCs. You can also, if you'd like to, come up with some random last names. There's some name generators out there too. If you don't wish to come up with the names yourself, I tend to find that the name generators, though, they're kind of samey. They'll use the same suffix or the same prefix and just match it with different ones. And they'll have like 15 or 10. And they just match them all with all the other ones and create a few different combos. But they're all samey, and so I really don't use them. But on the spot, you can. It's fast. It's even faster than what I'm doing. So if you don't really have much time, you know. I've intentionally not prepared a single thing for a session, just to put myself in that challenge, and my players never knew. And eventually you'll be able to do that too. You know, it takes you out of your comfort zone a bit, but once you get very comfortable with it, you're more comfortable doing that than you are writing a pre-planned speech for each of these characters. You'll see that you're saving yourself time. You'll be able to divert your time invested into something else that makes more, that's more beneficial, like a map or handouts. Treasure, what type of loot, or creature encounters. And that's it. That's what I have for you. This video was quite longer than I intended it to be. It says 34 minutes right now on my OBS, so I'm going to edit out some of the times that I diverge the conversation, and then see what we have. But that's it. One take. The notes that I have are the notes that you see that we just made, and hopefully you enjoyed this, and feel free to say whatever you like in the comments section. Yeah, you give me your suggestions on what you'd like for the next video, and you might see it. Alright, so this is Saul Sunforge for Dungeons and Taverns, signing out. Hopefully you have a great day. Take care of yourself.